So just to remind you, so with Priscilla, it's been up for over a week. We reviewed her metrics in last Tuesday's live class. First of all, the metrics are healthy. The second thing that Priscilla I had said was there seems to be a problem with the lead quality, as some people are coming through thinking that $30 is the cost of the facial, where in actual fact, what she is offering is a $30 voucher to put towards the facial. Okay. So what we need to do, it says here for a $30 voucher towards our most requested treatment. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to say for a limited time, we are giving you a free $30 voucher to put towards our most requested treatment, or our most popular treatment, to make that really clear. Okay. And at Comment Glass to claim your $30 voucher. And we can even elaborate a little bit more to put towards the Korean glass facial. Okay. So we'll fix that one up. Now, the next one is the majority of the issue it was stemming through the DM conversation. Priscilla, I'm not picking on you, but we're going to go through your response. So I started doing it here, but it's actually,
That's all right.
so I know more about what you're needing, I can recommend whether this facial is the best match for you, or if another treatment might give you better results. Smiley face. Can you see the difference?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so when you're doing it and you're actually going back and forth, you would never put all of that in one paragraph. It's a back and forth short conversation that you're having. Just like you would as if she was sitting in front of you or she was standing at the reception desk when you're trying to establish what treatment to book her in for. Okay. So if they say, where are you located? You can say, oh yeah, great question. We're in Parramatta. Okay. Before you go looking for parking, I would generally say, oh, great question. We're in Parramatta. Can I ask what concerns you have about your skin? Okay. Are you looking to target a particular skin concern or needing a moment to reset and relax? If I know what you want, I can guide you on the best facial and make sure your visit is tailored to what you need. You're stepping up as the expert and you're having that two-way conversation that's making her feel seen and heard, but also making you look like a professional. Because no one cares about your actual location. They just want to know where you are to see how far they have to drive. They're not they're not even thinking of parking at this point in time. That's the last thing that they're going to be thinking of. So I noticed you've got, can you tell me more about your business? Now that's a question that you've also got automated. I would turn that off because it's open-ended. You could go on forever talking about everything we do. But if they do ask, you can say, absolutely, we're a skin-focused studio, all about personalised, driven results facials, okay, especially for women who want fresh, healthy skin without harsh treatment. I want to make sure I don't just send a list of services. Would you mind sharing what you're most interested in? A visit, a blow-up before an event, ongoing skin concerns you'd like help with, or just a relaxing, pampering experience? Once I know that, I can share what's best for you. So you can see how you drive the conversation towards a mini consult all the time where it's back and forth. Is that helpful?
Yeah, definitely.
The next thing to do is when they ghost you. Okay. Generally, when you master DM conversations, people don't tend to ghost. However, you should always follow up. So many people, you get your ads out there, you're getting responses, and then the conversation goes dry, or they've clicked on the ad, but they actually haven't made a comment, and you don't follow up, thinking they're not interested. But the fact is they're busy. They might have been in the car. They might have been on the train and then had to get away. But their kids might have come in. They might have worked, thinking, I'll come back to this later. And they haven't. So you give people a gentle nudge. So I do this, hey, just checking in. You're still looking for help with your skin? Or did, something else catch your eye? I'm here if you'd help figuring out which treatment is right for you. If you're still curious about the Korean skin facial, I'd be happy to guide you. Okay. We work with all skin types of concerns, and I'd love to help you feel more confident in your skin again. Would you like me to recommend something based on your skin goals? Priscilla, it really depends on how busy you are. Maybe 6 days later, just popping in one last time. Okay. If now's not the right time, that's totally okay. But if skin confidence is something you want to focus on soon, I'd love to help when you're ready. You can message me anytime or book directly here. You can do your booking link. Hope to see you soon. Have a great day, Priscilla. It's as simple as thinking about the way that you speak to your clients when they're in your salon. It's a mini consult all the time. Okay. Does anyone have any questions before I hand over to Bree? No? No. Okay. Was that helpful?
Yeah.
Very.
Yes. Yeah, very helpful.
Okay.
'Cause I did get a lot of messages. It's how I interacted with them, the automation.
Yeah. So get Bree to help you with that this afternoon. Turn those automations off and then re-engage the people who did. I'm gonna hand over to Bree now, but when Bree helps you with your turning off the automation
Yeah.
and start it off again. Yep. Okay.
That's good. Thank you very much.
Okay. You're welcome. Just reach out to Rita Sabo. PM Queen.
I'm looking forward to, I guess then that makes all of you lovely ladies princesses at the moment. Let's go ahead and turn you all into DM queens as well. Margie, that was such a wonderful way of explaining things. It's not difficult. It's just about understanding the framework around it. I want to explain to you essentially what Margie just did so you can replicate it. It's really important that you put these messages into your own language and make sure it's how you would normally speak to your customers. What I was thinking is, who remembers when you first started communicating with us here at Salon Mastery? Does anybody remember the first time we reached out to you in messages or phone? What do you remember of that? How do you remember feeling about our reach out? Do you remember feeling nurtured? Do you remember feeling heard? Do you remember feeling supported? Maybe put your hand up if you remember any of those communications with us. Okay, fantastic. And of the lovely ladies that do remember that, how did that inform your decision later on to come to the point of saying, you know what, I really think that VSM is for me? Because the point I want to make here is, let's say we hadn't reached out to you, okay? Many of you may still be sitting in the same position you were at that point in time, okay? And this is true of potential customers coming to you as well through the DMs, okay? Often there is need there for a particular treatment. However, sometimes or most of the time, it does take a little more action on our behalf to help move them to the point where they're ready to make a booking. Salon owners, an area that we often forget. We have our ads or our organic content running. However, that's not the end of the story. We must remember that's only part one of the story. That's bringing in the interest, but then it's our job to take them the rest of the way, okay? The advertising doesn't do all of the work, so we can't sit there on our laurels expecting that they've inquired. The majority of the time, it is going to take some sort of nurturing on our behalf to move them the rest of the way. Does that make sense? Okay, fantastic. Margie's given you an absolutely wonderful script there, but I wanted to explain what you're doing. Even if you think of yourself as a consumer, what we want to do first is, most of the time, we might have somebody come in from an inquiry and they might say, like we've just seen with Priscilla, how much is the service? Where are you located? That's such a common phrase that an inquiry might be opened up with, okay? Most of the time, we respond with an answer to their question, okay? And then that's it. And that's usually when we lose them, okay? It's important that we answer their question. However, we do it in such a way that it doesn't close the conversation, okay? When somebody asks about the location, you could give them a suburb, but we don't have to go into detail about exactly where we are. Then we want to take their attention over to, why are you here? Why did you come to us with this inquiry? What that does is it puts aside that initial question. We've given them some data, but then we want to move them into the next stage of understanding what has driven them to reply to this ad or piece of content. That's really powerful information for us. We need to know why they're here. We need to do a little bit of digging, okay? For example, I'm going to share screen. This is going to look slightly different to Margie's version. What I want to explain here is there's many different ways of going about this, but if you understand the overall framework, you can put this into the language you would use. It's similar to what Margie did. What we want to do first is welcome them, acknowledge that they've come to us, thank them for reaching out, let them know that you'd love to help them with the inquiry they made, whether that's pricing or location, and then just try and move them on to that next stage of saying, let's first figure out what's the best way of us supporting you. Okay, so Margie, are you thinking of sharing the one you went through for Priscilla?
Yeah, so what I'll do is I'll put it on this document and then we'll put it into the group so that everyone gets access to it. Can I just add something there just while we're talking about when people ask for the price? Okay, it's really important that you don't give them the price straight up. Even if they're price shoppers, they're not going to come in anyhow. Because remember, we're not pricing our price. We're not attracting the people that want the cheapest deal. Okay. You want them to see the value in you by having that conversation before you share the price. Okay. If they can't afford it, you can offer them something else. Because you've nurtured them, they're more likely to be open to talking about something else. This is why we don't put our prices on our posts. We don't put our prices on our ads, and never ever respond if someone in the ad or in your post asks for a price. You'll always go back to them and say, hey, lovely, thanks for your message, check your DMs. Okay, if you put your price there, everyone's going to go, I'm not interested, because they don't get the opportunity to see the value that you offer. So that's the principle around that. Sorry, Ray, I'll leave it.
No, that's okay. And I might just expand on that a little bit by saying, if you can imagine yourself, let's say you're in the market for a new pair of joggers. Likelihood is that before you've even made it to the shops, you have determined that is your need right now based on a particular challenge you're having. Maybe your old ones got too loose, you've fallen over, whatever it is. So you've justified the purchase to yourself. And then that's when you might go into the shop, find the one that you need, or have somebody in the shop explain to you, hey, look, this is a really good model because it holds you around the ankle. Tick the box, that solves my problem, and you purchase, okay? If we give the pricing before establishing with our potential customer what her challenges are, then she's not going to be able to see the value in what we're offering. It could even be the most amazing offer. I don't know how many salon owners I've spoken to that have said, I've offered 50% discounts or higher, and people still walk away. It doesn't matter what your pricing is. Like, if you have been able to establish what their challenge is, how it's making them feel, where's the pain, found that pain point yet, then it doesn't matter what the price is, it won't encourage her to buy. Okay? If you look at number 2 here, you can say something like, our prices depend on the treatment that you choose or that will suit you best. Before we jump into that, I'd really love to get an understanding of what results you're looking for or what challenges you're experiencing right now. The first thing we want to do is establish, where's the pain? Why did they come into us initially? Okay, because there'll always be a reason why they clicked. Okay, our job is to figure out why. Okay, now once we understand her pain, okay, for example, with Meredith's offer at the moment where she's selling a package worth nearly $800, it might be worth digging a little deeper into this to determine how it's making her feel. Once we understand her problem, we can widen the gap, okay? We can say something like, gosh, that sounds really horrible. Firstly, I'd really love you to know that this is something we can support you with. We actually specialize this, and our specialty is helping women in such and such age group to solve this issue, okay? How has it been impacting you? Because it really sounds horrible what you've been experiencing. So what we want to do is get them into that emotional place of saying, I just feel so much lack of confidence these days. I can't go out the door without putting my makeup on, whatever it is, okay? The more we get to that point of them being emotional with us, that's when we've hooked them, okay? They're literally explaining to us how it makes them feel to be sitting with the problem they have right now, okay? And once they've shared that, they now have almost retold themselves why this is so important to get this solved. It's like they're doing the work for you here, okay? So then we can say, look, I want you to know that I understand what you're experiencing. This is something we can definitely help you with, okay? So then you do that. And then what you're going to do is open up the solution. You can say something like, Based on what you've explained to me, it really sounds like you'd benefit from looking at something like this because it's going to help you achieve da and it's going to help you feel da. Okay. And then once you've done, that's when you can open up that opportunity to book. Okay. A little tip here for you girls. I always try and avoid words that make the person feel like they're making a commitment. Okay. So I will often avoid words like booking or appointment or things like that that might bring up red flags for that person. So often it's just a case of changing your language and saying, look, I have a couple of windows available for the end of this week. Shall we open up some time for you to come in? We can start creating some solutions to this. Sometimes I really find that it's effective to move away from language that has high commitment. That language really plays a big part in this. The way you answer something can make or break whether that person commits or not. Okay. If you follow this framework, introduction, moving them through that initial objection, opening up what the pain is, what the challenge is, finding that out and expanding that into how that's been impacting them. Then make sure you confirm, yes, we can definitely help you with this, and this is why. Okay. This is why we can help you. And this is the outcome that we can achieve for you based on what you've explained to us. Okay. So that's really important. Talking about the outcome from a perspective of what they've explained to you. If they use the words, I want to feel more confident about my skin again, then when you're saying, we can definitely help you make you feel more confident in your skin again. Okay. You use their language to speak back to them. Okay. That language will make them feel like you understand and heard them. Okay. So that's a really good tip as well, is make sure that you listen to their language and reiterate it back in your responses. Once you've understood that, you can introduce the solution. When you've introduced the solution, that's when you can gently ask for the booking. And once you've done that, in Margie's situation, using a flow like this can mean that you convert 70% of those inquiries, which is amazing. For example, between Meredith and Priscilla's ads at the moment, they probably had over 30 inquiries for the two of them. So you can imagine, even if 2/3 of that should be another 10 bookings for each of them.
Can I add on to that as well? When you talk their language as well, when they come in and you're doing a consult in the salon, you really know what their long-term goals are. You really know what their pain is. And so far easier for you to get them to come back, do your 6-week skin challenge or join your membership. Okay. They just keep wanting to go on the journey because they've already told you what their problem is. They've already said where they want to go to. So it doesn't just stop there. It continues all the way through for them, and they'll come back again and again. And one last thing I wanted to add is that even if you have someone in your DMs and you think, oh, this person isn't my ideal client, or she lives in South Australia and I'm in Perth, or she wants a treatment that we don't offer, still come from a place of support. Okay. I will still help people. If I have people that are south of the river, I've been chatting with them and then we realize that they can't travel that far. If I know someone that they can go to, I will always go back and give them some advice. Okay. I don't just go, oh, well, you're not going to be able to come and see me. Just forget about them. And when you've got that mindset, it makes talking in your DMs a lot easier. You never get that frustrated. Who's felt frustrated in DMs when you're busy and people are asking questions? Has anyone ever felt like that? Yeah, you get irritated. But if you start to get irritated, you go, no, I'm coming from a place of, I don't expect a sale. I'm here to help. Okay. Because my branding, this is me demonstrating how I treat my clients, how I view my business. When you come from that place, this all just becomes very smooth. That irritating thing that comes up, that barrier, you slap it away and it's gone. It's like you just go, oh, I can do this. This is not too bad. And then, of course, as I said, we put a proper ManyChat flow into place. So if any of you have got automations in place at the moment, like what Priscilla's got, please, what I would suggest is you go turn them off, do everything manually for now, because the ManyChat flow that we help you set up It's going to take you through, take you